Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sunnyside podcast. Today, I am joined by Ian Sutherland. He is the co-founder and chief instigator of Adaptive Technical. They're an MSP based in Canada. I'm going to let Ian introduce himself. Hello, Ian. How are you doing?
I'm really well. Thanks for having me, Finn.
No worries. Well, I'm excited to kind of unpack everything that you've done over the years and unpack your journey. So, obviously, we've had a conversation before, Ian. I kind of know what you do and what you stand for, but could you kind of give the audience a bit of a summary of kind of yourself and your company, if that's okay, please?
Yeah. So I started this company with a partner in 2006, and it was founded on the idea that IT service companies should really emphasize the service as opposed to the IT, and we should take care of people. And that's what we've done. So far, so good. It's a work in progress, but the company's grown, and we seem to be doing all right.
Happy days. So, could you kind of break down your value proposition, what you're kind of doing for your clients? Who are you serving?
Yeah, we work a lot in the healthcare industry, so we deal with a lot of not-for-profits. We deal with a lot of long-term care facilities, people with really extensive data requirements, regulations that they need to be in compliance with, and we do our agreements are based on managed IT, so we don't charge extra for projects or anything. We have a kind of per seat basis where our marketing is very simple that way. Our agreements are very simple that way. And our idea is we just want to keep clients forever just by
Nice.
providing really great service.
So,
It's
no,
much cheaper. It's much cheaper to keep a client than it is to try and acquire new ones,
oh,
generally speaking.
100%. That,
Yeah.
that that I can definitely vouch for.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you don't charge them for project based, so it's just like a retainer, and like you just like you've got that. That's it, basically.
Yeah, so like really what we're doing is we're serving how many people in your organization, because it doesn't actually matter how many devices it is, right? Like if every user, we know that basically every user has about 3.5 devices on average, and so we can do the math to keep the pricing on the fairway, and
Yeah.
based on that we can go like we can only physically do so many projects per month, so we know what that cost is too, and so it's pretty easy to do the math to figure out what a good pricing schedule is for us. We also, where some managed service providers are doing, we've got a silver, gold, and platinum. We have one color and it's black, and we hope you like it.
Wow.
Yeah, our product is, our product, and if you like it, great, and if you don't like it, if we're not a fit, so that's fine too.
Interesting. So are you working to SMBs? Is there a particular sweet spot in regards to seats and users, or kind of flexible?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. The math has shown us that over the years, for a company like ours, the sweet spot is that 40 to 50 seats area. Beyond 50 to 250, 500 seats, just the complexity makes that pricing model change enough that we have to start to rethink it.
Yeah.
The complexity, you would think there would be some economy of scale, and what we actually find is that the complexity means that we have to have a bit of a premium on top.
Interesting. I mean, for a company that size, I think they just care more about the service that you get and how much like value you actually are bringing. So let's kind of unpack this then. So you founded your business in 2006. How's the business changed? How's the business model changed? Did you always start with just like this is it, this is our price, take it or leave it type of thing, or has that kind of evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. We started as two guys in a basement with cell phones that were
Classic.
charging by the hour like
Yeah.
plumbers. Yeah,
Yeah.
and our clients for the first probably 10 years were that way. And after maybe 8 to 10 years, we started to transition them into a managed service model, and that was really challenging. We don't have anybody left on the time and materials basis today, but we still have some clients that are on. We didn't even go directly to the projects, our all-in model. We
Mhm.
were on a very similar model to probably a lot of your listeners that are,
Yeah.
we do maintenance and break fix as part of your monthly agreement, but anything that's a project we do separately. We just found that was really confusing for our clients, right? So we typically, we were having conversations with clients saying, hey, you need to replace this $10,000 server, and it's going to be a $3,000 or $4,000 labor component on top of that. And I was having a hard time imagining that our clients looking at us going, well, do we actually need to replace that server, or does Ian
Of
just
course.
want an extra $3,000 or $4,000? And
Yeah.
so my wife came home from the naturopath one day with $500 worth of vitamins, and I went like, wait, do you actually need those vitamins, or
Yeah.
did the naturopath just want to sell you $500 worth of vitamins? So that was when we kind of decided to do the math to figure out what it was to keep projects in and make it simple for clients.
Interesting. And what else do you think
Yeah.
has kind of changed and evolved? Is there any other kind of tweaks that you've made in what you're offering? I suppose the actual managed services kind of thing has changed quite a lot since you started, like the whole landscape of it.
Yeah, I would say the landscape of managed services has changed a lot, and it is going to change a lot more in the very near future because I think with the prevalence of AI now, I think we're going to have to we're going to have to adapt into a company that can help our clients manage their AI agents and all that stuff too. So, we were historically a break fix company. Your computer's broke. We started a stopwatch. We came out and we started fixing it. And then we became a service and support company. And now you have to be like service support and strategy, right? Like you've got to have a strategy for helping your clients be on the frontier of what's coming. They
Hmm.
want to be ahead of their competitors, and they want to have a foot up in their market to try and grab market share with these new tools that are coming online. And to do so, they really need to like learn things that are evolving so quickly, right?
So,
And
go on.
no,
I,
you
I
go
was
on.
just, I was just about to say, how can you position yourself right where you need to be then as an MSP?
It's tough, but you've got to try and actually keep people on your team and skill up your team to be those trusted advisors around AI now. And I think like, we definitely have a managed service and security offering. That's our offering, right? We're bundling in security as well. And I think that there's probably a world where a number of MSPs do a side deal for the phone system or a side deal for the web development or whatever. They have some. I think clients are coming to us and asking for a side deal for like the management of the AI, right? How can we manage our data so that it's all visible to AI in a useful way to us? How can we manage our agents so that they're constantly being updated and kept secure as well? So there's a whole other world, I think, coming for MSPs.
So what does that mean for your staff and you? Like, does that mean you've just kind of got to learn new skills or hire new people?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a bit of both, right? If you've got people in your team already that are enthusiastic about AI, great. Then help them skill up. But as far as like my job, I look at is always been to try and figure out what the small and medium office is going to look like from an IT perspective in 5 years, so that I can help my clients kind of get the most out of their IT. That's been my crystal ball job for the last like 20 years. And
Nice.
now my job is to try and figure out what it's going to be like 6 months from now, right? Because it is going so
Yeah,
fast. And if I'm having a
absolutely.
hard time and Finn, you're having a hard
Yeah.
time, can you imagine what like an accounting office is doing? Like, how can this help me? Do I even want it? But somewhere down the road is an accounting office that's adopting this stuff already and getting
Mm,
huge advantage out of it. And so if you're not helping your
100%.
clients to do the same thing, then that's going to be problematic, right?
So what does this mean for you? Does this mean you gonna actually go to market selling AI and like fixing processes, or is it just more gonna be like the people that you've got on the managed services and people that who are already paying you? You think, okay, we'll work with you and work with you on this.
Yeah, so a little bit of both. I mean, the folks that we have on agreements already that we're currently supporting, those are the ones that we're most eager to help be on the forefront of AI. And then we'll also go to market with knowledge and expertise in the area, I would imagine, from a marketing perspective. I know that I think you found me through our YouTube channel. I think we're
Hmm.
fairly unique in the fact that we're putting out free, YouTube information each week and trying to help people who are our clients, but also people who aren't our clients just know what it is out there. And so we'll continue to do that. The management of agents and stuff, that'll be an ancillary business, I suspect, like an ancillary kind of
Yeah, yeah.
agreement. But the clients that are with us, we still need to teach them about how to do and use these tools, and that's where we're gonna probably move our.
Interesting. I'd like to kind of unpack your growth. Obviously, you're quite a big MSP. You're doing quite good, and for the majority of MSPs, what do you think has kind of been not the deciding factor, but is there any variables that you think have been like exponential to your growth? But it's like, oh, I couldn't have got here without this or without that.
Yeah, I would say the first thing is like when we started the company, we decided, as I said, we wanted to start a service company. So we realized that like, SNL was doing sketches on how bad IT service was at the
Mm.
time we started our business. So it was pretty easy to go, well, like I have a hospitality background coupled with an IT background. It was pretty easy to go, well, let's just give like incredible service.
Yeah,
Let's not use acronyms to confuse clients.
everyone loves
Let's
an acronym in this industry, don't
Yeah,
they?
exactly. I mean, our client is not really interested in the drill. They're
No,
interested in
yeah.
having the whole, right? Like they want the end result. And so let's break everything down into metaphor and make sure that our clients are well informed and are able to make good decisions. And that's been the key to this success. We hire people and we train them how to speak both like technically and just plain English, right?
Mm.
And then we just kind of stand behind everything we do, and we're fanatical about giving good customer service.
And you think that is obviously that is very important, but is that like the most important? Do you think like actually having good relationships with the customer? That I suppose that is
I
literally the number one thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think it is the number one thing. I mean, clients want, the number one thing that we find when we go to a prospect site and they're considering changing from another MSP to us is they go, well, we send in tickets and we don't even hear back, right? They're just terrible at communicating. And I think if you're keeping people in the loop about what's happening, generally speaking, they're great to work with. We prize communication with our clients extraordinarily highly. So we're constantly training our team to be better at that. So yeah, and I do think it is because for years, Finn, you'll your listeners will understand and will relate to the fact like for years it was two guys that were running an IT business that had no business saying that they were a CEO and a COO. Like that was just, it was absurd. And imposter syndrome wasn't a syndrome at the time. It was just the legitimate truth. We were imposters. But we didn't do any marketing, like none. We didn't really have a great website. We didn't any of that stuff. That's come now, but the reason it got there is because of referrals. And the referrals came because of customer service. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
That's interesting. So coming back to your team, when it was just you two in the kind of basement, what have been some of the hires that you've made over the years that have been like, okay, this like how did I ever live without this hire?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we actually, our staff retention is extraordinarily high because that's the other thing is like we really treat our staff incredibly well. We've got one of the folks that's with us has been with us for 18 years, and the other one's been, our other senior engineer has been with us, I think 17. Our CFO has been with us for gosh, I think like 15. Like, yeah, we really work hard at that. But so yeah, we've gone out of our way to hire really smart people and then let them do their work and not micromanage them.
Interesting. Did you say that you've hired a CEO?
CFO, yeah.
Oh, CF. Sorry, I
Yeah.
thought you said CEO. I was going to say, so how did you kind of find it at the start? Because obviously a lot of MSPs kind of get stuck wearing all the hats. Kind of,
Yeah.
they find it quite hard to kind of step away and like obviously have people under them that kind of doing all of the nitty gritty. How did you kind of find that at the start, and how did you get around it?
Yeah, that's Superman syndrome, right? Like I need to
Yeah,
do everything. Well, I
Superman
mean,
syndrome. I've not heard that. I like that.
yeah,
Superman
it's,
syndrome.
I'll tell you, it's one of the keys to that for me is that I'm like the laziest person on the planet. I don't want to do everything.
Yeah.
So I was really good at like, hey, that's what you're good at? Fantastic. That's something I don't have to think about. And so that's where, we've one of our core values is like to trust and empower, right? We give responsibility and we give freedom, and we don't micromanage. And if we have to micromanage you, you're not going to be a fit on our team forever. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And we're very upfront about that when we hire. Like you're going to be allowed to work from home, possibly up to 5 days a week. Nobody's going to look over your shoulder and go, hey, you haven't closed 10 tickets by noon. That's just never going to happen. Nobody's ever going to come to you at 10 after 9 if you arrive late and go like, where were you? That's just not going to happen, because we know, like, people in this industry, technicians, they work after hours and weekends all the time. They do it without complaint, right? So why are we hounding them? So I think that's key. Also, your customers don't want to see a revolving door of new technician every 2 days, right?
That's got to be a bit of a red flag in their mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
And do you think do you think that allows you to get the best out of your staff, and actually allows them to kind of, how would you say you kind of get your staff? So do you do you work remote a lot of the time?
Yeah, I mean, my team does. Our support desk is in the office typically Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I'm in the office Monday through Friday typically, because leaders should lead by example. And if I want people to be here, I have to make it a nice environment. So we did that. But yeah, I do think that, when we go to a prospect site, or as I'm in that last kind of set of trying to sign an agreement with a new prospect, and they go, hey, why this annual increase of this percentage? It's above like the inflationary percentage. Why this? And I say, well, do you like having the same technician all the time? And well, yeah, that'd be great. Like if we had someone that really knew our stuff and could be there when we needed them, we felt comfortable. Well, to have that technician in a big city where the costs are high, you need to pay them. And that's where that increase goes. Yeah. So yeah.
Not really any argument with that, is there?
It's hard. It's hard to argue. I mean, if you want a revolving door, there's 20 companies in my city. There's 100 companies in my city that'll give you that revolving door of technicians.
So
just not us.
Yeah, of course. So on that topic, obviously there is a lot of MSPs out there. I'm sure there's probably a lot in your area. How do you differentiate yourself? Kind of how do you position yourself in the marketplace?
Well, I think a few of the things we've already talked about are very different. Like the fact that our agreement is exceedingly simple and plain language, and it's like, if it has to do with hour labor, it's in your monthly agreement.
Yeah.
Right. That's a pretty simple qualifier. Well, is this included? I think we already talked about that. If it's hour labor, it's included. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, I think that I'm a pretty tough person to replicate. I think so. They got a lot of access to me. They get a lot of access to the training and the YouTube and stuff that we deal with, and there's some private stuff that goes out to just our clients, obviously. And our team communicates extraordinarily well and is just like drilled on customer service. And if you want to not think about your IT and you want to be secure, get the most out of it, be told where you might get more out of it, and work with a company that like treats you as though you're more important than they are, we're a good fit. If you're just looking to get by, we're not a good fit. You should look elsewhere.
And you tell people that?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
No, which is good, isn't it? When it comes down to. So what, I'm quite curious to what kind of what as like the co-founder, what do you kind of spend your days doing? Have you got like a certain task, or do you kind of just like monitor people? How do you spend your time?
Yeah, I just told you that I'm one of the world's laziest people.
I know, that's why I'm interested. Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of writing, because the putting stuff on YouTube is not, as you probably know, it's not as simple as you might expect. So I do a lot of that. I do a lot of networking. My role is I call myself the chief instigator. So that means that I'm the one that's like doing sales and instigating conversations with new clients. And so that means marketing, and I'm like causing problems, right? I'm out there trying to disrupt people's thinking about what it's like to work with an MSP, because man, I'll be honest, I have not watched a lot of the podcasts of yours, Finn, but I have been to enough conferences to know that like there's a good number of managed service provider owners that are just like quite dry to speak with, right? And
Oh yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so you know, I want to be out there and thinking about how to reframe people's view of what it's like to work with an MSP.
Interesting. So a question on that then. So I assume that you're kind of looking to grow and scale the business, or are you? Yeah, so that is something that you're trying to do. So in order to get to the next level, what do you think kind of needs to change internally, and kind of what you'll spend your time on? Is there a bit of like a hire or a restructure, or is it just a matter of fact to getting more clients? Or
It's a bit of all of those. I will say, like, the thing that I actually really enjoy about being a business owner is the puzzle, and the puzzle changes at every level. And your MSP listeners will relate to, like, it is a completely different thing going from 500,000 to a million per year. It's a totally different thing going from one to two. It's like the first hire that you ever make in your small MSP is terrifying, but
yeah,
the 11th hire is not as terrifying, but it's a totally different puzzle. Like now you're talking about HR and all this stuff. So I do really enjoy the puzzle. I'm absolutely certain that we're going to make it to the next level, which for us is probably around that 10 million point. But there will be lots of challenges, and some of them are structural and system based, right? Like our my business partner, he's very meticulous. He's great. He's a chief operating officer, but he's trying to wrap his head around and decipher the code for what it looks like when you've got 30 or 40 or 50 people in your organization. Like what systems do we have to have in place that we don't today? So that's the focus on that side of the business. My focus right now is, like, I think it's time to get away from purely owner-led sales. So I think we're going to bring in a salesperson. I know we're going to bring in a salesperson. That's our
yeah,
next hire. And that'll be an interesting thing. So that means I have to develop systems around sales instead of just my intuitive way that I've done it in the past. So that's one of my next challenges.
nice. I think that's key. So going back to kind of talking about the puzzle, and if you kind of go back, what was the kind of don't want to say the breakthrough because I'm sure it wasn't a breakthrough. I'm sure it was just hard work over a lot of years. But what was like what was the thing that kind of kept getting you to the next level? Does that kind of make sense? You kind of get what I'm asking?
I don't know that I see it that way. Like, I don't think there was a moment or an epiphany. I feel like it was more of a, do you know what a flywheel is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a
So like
flywheel is
yeah.
something you have to put a lot of energy into to get it started, right? Like it
Mm,
really, when you first start turning this thing, it's like really hard to get going. But once it gathers some of its own momentum, it becomes almost self-sustaining, right? Less and less and less energy required to keep it going. Our thing has just been like constant effort, just constant curiosity about what's new, what's coming out, constant uh, effort. And it's been that really steady, gradual, like 10 to 15% growth year over year for almost every year we've been in business. And that's been good. And we do occasionally lose a client due to either just a lack of fit. Sometimes we fire them and we say, hey, it looks like, you're not a fit for us. It looks like you don't trust what we're telling you, and you're going to go out and source your own ideas and stuff. And that's just not going to work in our world, unfortunately. So maybe that's a better fit. Or sometimes, there's restructuring, companies go out of business. So we probably have about a 2 or 3% loss rate year over year, but we have 15 or 20% gain rate. So that's what we're trying to do. And then, with the current efforts into marketing and sales, we do kind of see that we're going to start to stretch and test the envelope here. We're gonna push the. I said to my team, like, we're gonna punch the engines and see what happens, right? Like
yeah.
we're gonna see what happens when we shake the car a little bit and apply some acceleration here and see what breaks, and then we're gonna see how to fix it.
Nice. So what are the kind of marketing strategies that you're kind of using or testing?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing a lot of, primarily we're doing a lot of that just like social media and LinkedIn and providing free information, right? If you put something on YouTube, Finn, you're well aware of this, it's there forever, right? If you put
Yeah.
something on LinkedIn, it's there for 10 days,
Mm,
right?
so true.
Yeah. So, this happens to me all the time where someone tells me, "Oh my God, I just watched your video that, oh, you mean the one that I did like 8 months ago? Well, that's great. That's great that you did, but that it's been around forever. It just hit your algorithm today." So I think if it's a very uncomfortable position for a lot of those dry MSP owners to get in front of a camera and to speak candidly, but and also just like with some personality, it's very difficult because you have to try and be uh, engaging and entertaining at the same time, right? You're a very engaging person to speak to, so you're kind of like magnetic to watch and listen to. It's tough for MSPs, so I think that's our primary effort. And then, as you know, there's a cost associated with putting all that stuff together, right?
Of course, time, yeah, and a lot of the time you're not gonna get absolutely no returns from it. But that is actually a
Sure.
really good point because obviously on YouTube it's there forever, and you can kind of have that in your back pocket. So so what was the kind of so you mentioned that you wasn't really doing much marketing up until like was there like a point where you was like, okay, we might need to kind of back our ideas up a little bit. Like why did you come to the conclusion, okay, we need to start doing something here?
Um, why did I come to the conclusion?
Because a
Well,
lot of MSP owners know that they need to do it, but they don't do it. So I'm just kind of curious to kind of.
yeah, most MSP owners that don't do it, they don't do it because they don't find the time, right? Trying to find that. Paul Green talks about all the time, but like you got to spend 90 minutes a day working on your business, not in your business. And I hear so many MSPs talking about like, man, I'm going to build a fireproof house as soon as I put out all these fires, right? Like there's another way it works. You just have to like be diligent and disciplined about sitting down and going like, okay, I'm an MSP owner that started as a Cisco technician and now I need to learn marketing. Where do I go? And thankfully today there's yourself, there's, Paul Green, there's Tech Tribe, there's, Brian Gillette. There's so many great voices in our industry now that are starting to try and teach MSPs how to do marketing that I just started listening to them, right? Like I just started listening to, Nigel, right, over at Tech Tribe. I just started listening to Brian Gillette. I just started listening to Paul Green. It's just saying like, oh, okay, well, here's some things that I didn't know how to do. And marketing is not rocket science. It's just, again, consistent, deliberate effort.
100%, 100%, just testing things and then looking at the data, reiterating, which I'm sure kind of you probably do internally in your MSP. I a lot of I feel like on these type of podcasts, like all the like every MSP speaks about how great things are, but no one like I'm sure actually in the nitty gritty of running an MSP, there must be some bottlenecks and some
Sure.
problems that you're having. Would you mind sharing some of them and how you
Not at
might
all. I
overcome
mean,
them?
not at all. As I said, that we're at that point there. There's some plateau levels for MSPs that are tough to get over, and we're at one of those. Like typically the 5 to 10 mark is tough. It's tough because you start to have a lot more people to manage, and you start to have systems that need to go in place to do that, and things get routed here and there, and so designing that. So we have way too many meetings right now about how to design those systems, and too many ideas, and that's a real challenge for us right now. We're still delivering great service, but like trying to figure out what the next couple years look like from what is our internal system? How do we keep our culture? Because we have a great culture right now. How do we keep our culture without building this giant bureaucracy because we got to a size where now, there's forms to fill out. We don't want to become office space, right? How do we keep our personality? How do we keep our people happy and still put in the systems that we need to develop into a $10 million company? How do we do that? It's tough. How do we
Interesting.
how do we fend off the private equity firms that are coming up and swallowing up all the MSPs around us? How do we have relationships with those other MSPs around us that are like-minded and similar in our space and look to see if there's places where mergers can happen? That's where we're at, right? Like different growth opportunities have totally different challenges, and the ones that we have today would have been inconceivable to me 20 years ago. But that's where we're
Of
at.
course. That's the beauty of the game, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really the beauty of the game. Yeah.
That is the beauty. So, have you done any acquisitions or anything or
We
mergers?
haven't. No, no, no.
You haven't.
Some talks, but we've not found one that fit just yet.
Is that to do with just not finding the right business, or just is it's not really a viable path for you guys, or?
It's just not finding the right partnership just yet, right? Like I'm extraordinarily fortunate in my current business partner. We've been working together for 20 years. We've never had a discussion where we raised our voices, like not
Yeah,
once in 20 years, which is remarkable because we've
yeah,
had differing ideas for sure, but it's always been respectful. And he and I are both very big on like, there's no reason to get to a point where there's yelling and screaming. So, we're obviously based on that. We're very keen to make sure that we maintain that culture, and it's not super easy. Also, there's differing tools that people are using. So the more different your tool set is, the more challenging it's going to be to merge. It's just there's so many things to think about.
interesting. I mean, just before we wrap up, in what if you was to give one bit of kind of advice, or like not to your past self, but maybe to an MSP that's kind of where Ian was maybe 3 to 5 years ago, what would be the kind of the thing
Three
that
to
you would
five
tell
years
them?
ago. Yeah, 3 to 5 years ago, I would say probably the most valuable piece of advice I could give to an MSP myself 3 to 5 years ago would be like, you've got to find that 60 minutes a day to shut your door and work on the business and to think strategy and development instead of just firefighting. That is how you build the fireproof house, right? Is by devoting that time somewhere. And if you can do that, you'll see huge gains. You'll see huge gains. That flywheel will start to move. It will start to you'll change. Whatever you're focused on is going to change. So if you're focused on like how your business is built, it'll start to change for the positive.
That's interesting. That is interesting. So you think that map out a bit of time where you're focusing on the high leverage growth strategy activities and actually moving the business forward, as opposed to just being in the business, like dealing with just like the day to day that you would expect to be.
Yeah, we can all walk into our office and just put our nose down and just like let the day take us away.
Of course.
That's absolutely a thing that can happen. But it's still until like your calendar should look like there should be a block across your whole week, in my opinion, that's like, this whole block is just blocked off. It doesn't work for anything. There's no meetings, there's no nothing, the phone is off. That's when I'm working on like strategy and planning.
Interesting. That's interesting. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Ian. Well, no, it's actually been a really insightful conversation. I've learned quite a lot hearing it from you. I mean, just if the audience want to get in touch with you, Ian, and learn a bit more about yourself and your services, where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, our website's adaptive.ca. And just spelt like it sounds. And you can find
Easy
our
one.
YouTube channel is just Adaptive Technical. And I'm on LinkedIn and I'm all over the place. At all the social channels, it's just Adaptive Technical. You can find us around.
Nice. Well, I'll put all of your links in the description, make it easy for everyone. But Ian, I really appreciate you coming on. What a conversation it's been. Thank you very much, sir.
Amazing. Thanks, Finn. I appreciated being on.